In this video, we'll look at how to examine the soils and vegetation types found on your property in Map My Property. First, expand the Soils and Vegetation toolbox. As implied, the Soils and Vegetation toolbox has two layers that can be displayed: soils and vegetation type. The soils layer is a layer we produced using the Soil Survey Geographic Database, or SURGO, developed by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, or NRCS. It includes selected attributes or characteristics of each soil. We also include a vegetation type layer from the Texas Ecological Systems Classification and Mapping Project developed by Texas Parks and Wildlife Department with other partners. We'll look at the soils layer first. The soils layer is active by default, and we can make it visible by clicking on the visible checkbox. When I click on visible, we see that we have the soils layer for the entire state of Texas. Obviously, when zoomed out to the whole state, there's not much information you can see. So I'll zoom into an area in Leon County, and I've already located an area that I'd like to go to. As you can see, once zoomed in far enough, the soil labels appear. To investigate information about a soil, use the Identify tool and click the soil of interest. Clicking on a soil will display a window that shows information on several attributes or characteristics of the soil, including the site index in East Texas. Now, if you want more information about the various attributes in this window, just click on the question mark in the upper right part of the toolbox, and this will provide some help information for both soils and vegetation. And if you scroll down, you'll see information on the attributes that are included. One attribute I'd like to mention is ecological class. This is an NRCS classification that provides a lot of useful information on the ecological description of a site. The class ID is a hyperlink that takes us to a description of the ecological class. And so I'll click on that, and in a moment you'll see a web page pop up, and as you can see, there's lots of information from the NRCS for this ecological class, and I'll just scroll down. We can also vary the transparency of the soil layer to see what's underneath by using the Layer Transparency tool. Zoom out a little bit. Another useful feature we have is the ability to clip the soils by a boundary. So first I'll draw a boundary, and I'll turn off the soils layer, open up Define Boundaries toolbox, and draw a quick boundary. "315 acres. To produce a map showing only the soils within a boundary, click on Clip. After a moment, a table will display showing the soils in descending order of area that each one comprises. And then clicking on a soil in the map will highlight it in both the map and in the table. You can also click in the table on a soil and it will highlight it in the table and on the map. To deselect all the soils, just click either in the table or in the map on the highlighted soil. The Identify and Transparency tools also work with the clip soils. And then you can click on Clear Clipped Layer to clear the soils layer. As mentioned before, we also have a layer that shows vegetation type as developed by the Texas Parks and Wildlife. So I'll go out to the whole state. I'll click on Vegetation Type, click on Visible, and pretty much everything I demonstrated with the soils layer can be done with the vegetation type. So I'll navigate back to the property we used for the soil layer. I'll use the Identify tool to look at some of the vegetation types on the map. The particular one I showed here is post oak savanna, post oak motte, and woodland. The type name is actually a hyperlink that will open a general description of the type along with a photo which you might find useful. We can also clip the vegetation type to the property boundary the same way we did as with soils. So I'll click on clip. As was done with soils, a table will pop up showing the various vegetation types that are found on the property. And then the identify and transparency tools also work with the clip layer. Well, that's it for the soils and vegetation type in Map My Property. I hope you find good use for these tools. Thank you.